Hello YouTube, Robin Hood Bricks here, and today we're going to be extending our tram system by incorporating our brand new monorail track. There's a very simple aim for today's video, and that's to have the tram running successfully on the new extended track, which will use our new junction piece that will go about here, so the track continues straight on as it was before, but also can go around this corner, which will create a new sort of straight piece of track that pretty much runs over the railway line all the way to about here, where it should link up with the airport. So that's a very simple aim, but I don't think it's necessarily a very simple job, because we are going to have to change pretty much everything from track from about back here to incorporate it. We're also going to have to change the station that we've already got linking up with our main railway station there, and add a new station about here, still elevated, and all the steps down and so on. So yeah, quite a bit to do. But before we start all that, I'm going to do a few amendments on the airport that you've suggested. Right, so on to some of your amendments around the airport then. This isn't necessarily all of them. I do have quite a lot of work to do around the extreme left and right hand sides in due course, but this is a few for now. One was just to add a few more round bricks underneath the taxi sign, so it was high enough for minifigures to pass underneath it. So now it will be resting on a column 4 tall rather than just 2 tall, and I think that is a good improvement. Thanks for that. Somebody reminded me to put in the speed bumps on both of the entryways. That was one for that side, and you can see I've already done the one for that side, so that was great. I've removed a couple of lampposts because I think I went lamppost crazy in this area, so it's a bit more open now. Thank you for that. Somebody for the bus stop, because it looked a bit empty, so I've kind of used the Hermione series minifigure from the Harry Potter 2 line, but I've obviously yellowed her up like everyone else I do in my city, so I'll just have her waiting there. And I've done a jumper plate, which is just off shot, but she will look like that. So thanks for that. Then another really good idea, and I really like this, was having somebody up to no good. And it's the Series 20 drone boy, and you see he's got his remote control there and the drone itself in his hand, and he's looking like he's planning some evil plan, which will be interfering with an airport, a very serious crime with a drone, putting lots of people's safety at risk. So you can see him standing there looking back over the airport as if he's planning it, and I've just re-angled this policeman who was already there over here, so he's staring directly at him thinking, yep, I'm gonna get you, boy. So thanks for that idea. Then a lot of people didn't like the compass, in the fact that I've done it in this sort of stylized way. If I just move Kingsley for a minute, with the 2 east and west sort of points in the middle. They wanted them kind of equidistant all around a central spot. So I thought, why not? I'll give it a go. But I was thinking of what could go in the middle, and the only thing I could really come up with was this really sort of ornate jumper piece, which is really nice, and I'm hoping that'll look good in the middle. So I'm going to do that and see how it looks. Right, well that's all that swapped around, so I can now add the very ornate jumper piece into the middle. If you're interested, that's from the set 43177, Belle's Storybook Adventures, which is a Beauty and the Beast set. Just put that in the middle, and there we go. Yeah, I think that is looking rather good actually. Give you a close-up as well. Yeah, that looks good. So I'll add Kingsley back, and he's covering the edge of that whilst looking rather happy, so I think that makes it all look a bit more natural. Cool. Right, then on to the double-decker bus. Some people were upset I hadn't put people in it, and it's a good point. So I put a bus driver in the front, and I always put really, really angry bus drivers in my buses, just because I think it's funny that they're really sort of suffering from road rage. So there's a very angry bus driver. And then I've put somebody halfway up the stairs, just a relatively ordinary chap there. And I've got somebody looking out of this window, because this is the best side if you ask me. with all of the adverts on, and you can kind of see the steps through the window. And you'll also see that I've found some transport signs to add on each side, so it can match my other bus as well, which also has a similar sticker there. It's a slightly different one, but it's just off the Beast train as well. It's actually the big one that's on the side of that rather than on the front. So I did have those after all. And then for the other decks, well, the other deck, singular rather, I thought I'd have a bit of a fight scene, so it's a bit hard to show you, but we've got one baseball fan here from the Clutchers, and he's having a verbal argument with two fans of the Stackers, and they're sort of shouting back at him. It's rather hard for you to see, I think, but nonetheless, there's two Stackers and one Clutcher in there having a bit of a slanging match. And what I've also done is just made a little modification here so we can actually remove that very front panel of roof as well. So there's actually 3 removable sections, 2 that go with the back hole area when that's removed, and 1 with the front. But I think that just makes it even better. So look at that, great big bus arriving at the bus stop outside the airport. Fantastic. Right, so on to the main event, the monorail track extension. And these 2 track pieces are the stars of the show. And I got these in a brick hall, not the last one, but the one before that. And these are very expensive pieces and very hard to get hold of as well, mainly because they aren't made by the replacement services that produce monorail tracks in the current day using 3D printing. These pieces that have got this very sort of complicated mechanism are only available as original pieces, which date right back from the 90s and were very expensive sets, so there aren't too many of them around. So very hard to get hold of. So this one's relatively simple and it's just a half corner, but it has got a very different end to it, which means it can only combine with one of these junction pieces or another half corner, of course. And usually they're done in a setup like that with the opposite version of this to create 2 parallel tracks where once there was one. But I'm going to use it this way around. So I've got one line of the track curling off, as we discussed in the intro, off round there, and the other one will continue straight on over here. So good. Now, the most important thing about this junction is the mechanism. It's not just a junction piece, it actually has this movable part here, and that, as you can see, allows a tram coming from the bottom of our screen to go along this way, and also when it's in the other position for it to go on in a straight line. So far so simple, but the fact is, if a train were to come along this line and it wasn't aligned, it would derail quite quickly. So it's actually got this cool little sort of tooth that sticks out of the track that sort of pushes this whole mechanism into the right position when it's coming from the direction of one of the 2 options. So again, it pushes that and slides the track into the right position, so it's all right. Now, whatever position it's in, it's going to be all right from this direction because it will just go a different way. So that one doesn't need one of the tooth pieces. But you can see that that's really quite a complicated piece of kit, really, and some really good technology from the 90s, because this was actually only in 2 sets ever. The first one was actually called Monorail Accessory Pack from 1991, 6347, and just had more track pieces, essentially including these for expanding your existing setup, which might have been the airport shuttle or something like that, 6399. And it only came in one full-blown set in 94, which was the Monorail Transport Base 6991, which was a wonderful Unitron space station. Now, the biggest and a very common complaint seems to be that this mechanism gets very stiff over the years. Now you can see that I'm pushing it by the actual rail, and even then it's getting a bit stuck, to be honest. It helps if I use 2 hands, but if I sort of push it from one side, it's not very loose at all. This is supposed to be a handle, and quite frankly, I mean, it just will not operate from the handle at all. And even pushing these in alone with your thumb, I mean, I just can't do it. If you give it a start, then it will work like that, but even then it barely doesn't go down. So I'm going to have to try and fix that. and I've been researching it online, and there's a few different techniques suggested. Now, I've already washed it, so that's the number one, but you can clean it even further by using something like this, a contact cleaner. But if you are going to use one, make sure that it will work on plastic specifically. So you can see there, it mentions plastic as being safe. So that is just one I bought. It's not sponsored or anything. That's just one I bought on eBay. So I've done that already, and it has made a great difference. But as you saw, it's still incredibly stiff. So I'm going to have to give it something else, a bit of a helping hand. And that is a very similar product, but this one is Specialist Anti-Friction Dry PTFE Lubricant. Wow, that's a mouthful. And again, that works on plastic. So that's very important, because something that isn't designed for plastic, like normal WD-40, would probably melt the plastic. Definitely wouldn't do it any good. So what I'm going to do is take this part outside and give that a really good spray with this to see if the lubricant gives it enough, freeness of motion, to be honest. And while I'm at it, I think either now or later I'll do the station piece as well, because those twists to turn the direction of the train are also incredibly stiff and could definitely do with a bit of lubrication. So I'm hoping that will cure the entire problem. If not, I'm just going to have to operate it kind of like I am now by pushing this piece with my thumb, because it's not like it's going to be needing to move all the time. In fact, after today, I don't think we'll be able to use this leg of the track anyway, because we'll have stolen all these station parts for use over here. So, right, I'll go outside and do that, and then we can start dismantling everything from here down, including, unfortunately, the whole station, which will need redoing. So the new monorail piece has received a massive dose of that lubrication. It's been lubricated within an inch of its life. So while that's drying downstairs, I'll continue up here. And you can see I've removed the station next to the main railway station, just so we can redo that, because the junction piece is a very different shape, so it'll need to have kind of a different cutout than it did before. And there's the station lying there, and I actually, just while I was waiting, added a no entry sign there, which I think looks rather good. But what I'll be doing in the meantime is using this to represent our points piece, because the curved section of it does follow the normal corner arc. So I can basically hold this in position and work out what's going to come next. And what I have done is removed from this straight section coming towards us an 8 long piece. So there was an 8 long piece and a 32 long piece. And the reason why I removed the 8 long was just so the corner could start a little bit sooner. And having it starting about there makes a lot more sense to me, because if I show you from above, you'll see it's pretty much clipping the edge of the railway track and is pretty much therefore over the base plate that the railway lines are on. You can see the join just there. Because if we had this whole track turning 8 studs later, and it was kind of say about there, then it'd really be right over the back of these 2 green base plates here. And without giving too much away, I plan to do some large buildings on there, possibly modulars. And if I have this taking up the back sort of 6 to 8 studs of each of those base plates, it's going to really ruin how effective they can be. And bearing in mind that the tram itself isn't 4 studs wide like the track, it's more like about 10, it would really take up a massive section of both of these 2 base plates, which I really don't want to lose. So I think starting the corner a little bit earlier will mean that most of the damage is done basically over the railway line, which won't cause us an issue. It will mean this whole area is absolutely crammed with not only the control tower here, not only this works going on here, not only the airport, but a monorail line as well. So if you remember what we did right over there, over the railway track, I did a setup kind of like this, which is 2 of these lovely decorative 2x2x13 support pieces. And I've pushed some studs into that and used some half Technic pins to hold a tile to block up some of the other holes on them. And I can basically mount these kind of over the railway line, kind of like that, to create kind of a tunnel for them, which is nice and good fun, just like they've got on the far side. But that will also then support basically the monorail track, which will curve like that, and then go straight. And I've got my straight already made up with the station piece at that end, and ooh, that's how long it is. And that will go something like that. Yeah, very hard to show you. Right, so I'm going to mock up that, and then we'll worry about the stations afterwards. And I will use this curve in place of our switch while it is drying. Ho ho, look at that. A great long straight piece of track going into the curve that is temporarily in place of our points. And the second line will obviously continue straight on over there as it was. But I think that is looking pretty good. Now, there's a few things to mention, really. One, it's getting very busy over there, as I thought it might. Two, it's going to be quite hard to attach the station platform here. It's going to be kind of suspended. You can see I've put a little brick coming out there to try and give it some support. It can clamp onto the underside of where that yellow tile is. And it will be held up kind of by the stairs, which will go up to the platform. And I think that they'll come down about here and go all the way up to there. And obviously the switch will be built into that station platform now. And there won't be a switch on the station here. So it'll just whiz on past, just like it does my other intermediate stations, or whiz on straight. And there'll have to be a station piece or something up this direction as well if we're going to use that. The other thing to mention is I've just used single stanchions in the end. The double ones looked a bit weird because most of them was kind of over the railway track without sort of supporting anything. So I've decided to use single ones. I just hope it's strong enough laterally. It's a little bit wobbly. I can always go back to the other technique. But the other reason was because I only actually had 4 of these poles. So I could do 2 doubles, which wouldn't be enough anywhere near, and do something makeshift with the other 2, and I don't really want to do that. So I'm hoping that will be stable enough when we've got the rest of it in. So looking really good if you ask me. Nice big loop. This may have to be the last monorail extension just because this track is getting crazy expensive and difficult to get, but at least it's a good one. And then to the station, this is my first sort of mock-up for the station platform that'll go here. That'll kind of fit in there. There we go. And it's this really weird shape just because we've got that kind of big blocky bit with all the switch on that's coming out from the side of the points piece. So when we get it in, I hope it'll dovetail perfectly with that and be seamless, while also keeping the original sort of length of the platform that's going to tie in with the overhead walkway and everything else. So there's a lot of things to get balanced there, but I think that will be strong and functional as well. So that's good. So I think the next thing is to get our hopefully dried off piece that's hopefully very well lubricated and put that in position as well. And then we can do the second station as well and finish repairing the first one, of course. And here is our freshly lubricated piece. It is a lot more mobile. It's a bit hard to show you one-handed with my left hand, but it isn't quite the miracle that I hoped it would be in being still a little stiff, especially if you use the sort of trigger points that are in these slots that will be operated by the train. So I think it might be that I have to set this up for a train running in one particular direction, which is no real problem because if I'm over here and the train's over there, then setting it going and making sure this is the right way is no massive task, to be honest. However, I suppose it does raise the possibility of a possible derailment in the future. But then again, I know Lego videos with derailments are very popular, so maybe that's not a bad thing either. So you see what I mean about the weird shape of the thing with all this extra stuff on the left-hand side. But that should fit in here very well. There we go. Oh, sorry, I went out of shot there a little bit. Anyway, you get the idea. So that's going to go like that, and that will link up perfectly with that. Very tight, but it will need all of the tiles just to hold it in place. So there we are. So we have got our track all the way to the airport. We have reinstated our station platform, and there it is with that cutout. It's not ideal, but I mean, it's a compromise between having the actual functionality of this piece and still a platform. So in a way, this sort of sliver, too wide sliver, should really just be a studded platform, but we can imagine that that is the case. And then if we did want it to go down this direction, we've just got to do that. And I technically could have a line that went all the way to the edge of the standing hole, but presumably I'd thwack it every time I did anything here, so we'll have to decide on that. Right, so I'm going to build up that thing. I'm going to attach it all together with the tiles, and I'm going to make a move on this station, and it might be that it needs a bit more support, and I was thinking I could use this column that is holding the airport fence and just make that really tall just to give another connection point, but we'll have to see. But there we go. That's looking pretty good, I reckon. So there is our station all restored with a seamless edge with our new junction piece. And if you can hear that whirring, it's because we have got a tram incoming, charging towards the new piece and our new extension. Ooh, eee. And there we go, into the new station. And that's where it will stop or bounce back if I set it to that. Oh, so that was a bit nervy, but it worked, so that's good. I just couldn't resist doing that before the next station. But yeah, so this stalk isn't going to be in use at the moment, partially because I haven't got any suitable track. Secondly, because I've run out of the 4 long yellow tiles that hold all the pieces together. So I will extend that in the future, but at the moment we can't have the tram going down there because there's no way for it to turn back around. Or even really room for it to fit. Yeah, but that's looking pretty good. It doesn't bother me that it doesn't actually stop at the main station now, because it doesn't stop any of the intermediate stops. It doesn't stop over there, for example. It only stops at either end or bounces back from there, and we just have to imagine that it stops all of them. But yeah, that's looking really good. Right, I better get on with that station, and then we can give it a full test. Good. Right, well, you might have noticed this bowing a little bit when the tram went past. So I've actually added some inverted slopes to this central pillar here. So it's supported a lot more underneath now. So you can see if I push down, it doesn't move at all. So hopefully that's a lot better. And then I've got the next tram stop being here. And this big cutout section here is just so the switch is incorporated seamlessly into the station platform itself. And I do need to add all of the stickers, like for the ticket machine and the clock and things, from 60097 City Square, but I've got the remnants of a sheet there, so those are the ones I need. So that's fine. I've also, as per all my other tram stops, got the city sign on a 1x6 from the 8404 public transport station. And on this one, I've even added some more advertising for the bike shop with those panes from the 60026 Town Square. So I'm thinking that this bit will go in there and be quite firmly connected. That brick will cling onto the side. That plate that you can see hanging off the underside will clip onto the underside of this bit of track here. And that hopefully will support it. I'll also be supporting it with this incredibly long stairway, which will be something like that. And I'm wondering whether I need this, being loads and loads of corner bricks, as an extension for this pillar here. It might not be the right height yet, but nonetheless, so I'll have to see. So a lot more stretching to be done. So here is the airport stop for our tram system and monorail. It's looking pretty good from this side. Huge tall stair way up there. And the stickers on show on the back. And if we kind of peer around the other side, we'll see a couple of people on the platform. One is a passenger with his wheelie case who's clearly just got off a flight at the airport. And the other one is the Series 15 janitor, who looks really good as well, with his mop, giving the area a good clean. And you can see the play features kind of blocking the top of the stairway there, but I don't really mind that. I quite like play features to be visible, just like we've got on the top of the airport over here, a couple of things. So I don't mind that. And it's easier for my big hands to reach as well when it's on this side, because I'll need that to control the tram, of course. So yeah, I think that's looking really good. Very, very busy area now with the construction going on underneath and the fact that the train is parked there at the moment. And I've done a nice neat end with the wall with the 1x2 decorated tiles there in yellow. So that's looking good. And in fact, I found another two of those that I had, which has enabled me to kind of add a kind of stumpy end to this one, which at least gives the illusion that the monorail tram could actually get into that station, even though there's nothing that will actually stop it. I mean, if it went down there at the minute, it would actually career right off the end, which some of you might want to see, but I'm not going to do. So it might be that I leave this bit of track like that forever and just have it ending there. I don't want to have it coming this way because it wouldn't make much sense having two lines going pretty much the same way. And I don't really want it going down this big street because it will block all of our views of what will be a full row of buildings along here and Fast Food Corner and all the rest. So the only alternative, if we did want to extend it, would be to have it going completely straight all the way to the standing hole with a station piece to sort of bounce it back from over here. But, you know, it can't use both of these paths at the same time. So, you know, having one functional might just be enough. Right, so for the space underneath that huge stairway, I thought I might add another one of my coffee chain things with a 3D coffee mug from set 60097, City Square, and I like her wonderful hair, so I thought I'd use her. And I can either have it sort of tucked under like that, I'll have to do the paving another time, I think, or maybe even more like sort of that. But it does utilise a bit of space that otherwise is quite hard to use. Yes, I quite like that. Right, so the proof is in the pudding. Let's get this thing going. And there it is, bouncing off our new stop. Looks really good. Around the corner with no issue at all. And then on to the rest of its journey. Down the dip, back up the hill. Oh, it doesn't like doing that, does it? Battery might need a charge. Over the bridge. Behind all of those buildings. And I always just love the way you can just see glimpses of it. And then down that hill to that station, where it bounces back to come all the way back for us. So I'm really happy with this extension. It's gone rather well. It's been quite hard to do in many respects, just because this platform really created a lot of issues, finding the right size plates and all the rest of it. This one was slightly less problematic because it was kind of using most of the bits from there, but it still needed getting everything absolutely right. And I'm glad to see that it's not really bowing there anymore. No, so that's good. And this isn't wobbly so much anymore. Now it's got the stairs bracing it. And I didn't put in that extra column coming up from the airport fencing piece. So, yeah, I think that's looking really good. But as always, do tell me what you think. And stand by for Tram Cam. Well, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. It's been a really successful video. I always love it when the outcome is as good as this. It just proves that you've done something right when it looks this good. So I'm very happy with that. Do tell me what you think, as always. So thanks for watching. Remember to like, comment and subscribe for more awesome LEGO videos. And if you value this channel, there are many ways in which you can support it. Details of my Amazon link, LEGO shop at home and Patreon links are in the description below. And next time on Robin Hood Bricks, well, we'll be going to our new factory build, of course, doing part 2 of the GBC building. So, tune in then. See you!